I'm Bev Mayo and welcome to my first video blog. I've just recently received this Quilting 14-inch mid-on quilting machine, so I'm going to start documenting my experiences with it. It's all very new to me and I hope you enjoy my progress. This is the first piece that I've quilted with it. I've got to be quite careful, it's a really bright little quilt, but I'm going to have to be careful of these little bits at the edge. I don't want to quilt those down. So I'm going to quilt the central part and then I shall quilt the borders separately. I've set the machine up with the regulate cruise position and I'm using the Superior Threads Masterpiece threads, which are lovely. So I've got this lovely green on the bottom which matches the backing fabric, and I've got a lovely yellow on the top. I'm just going to quilt a Vermicelli type pattern, this little squiggly type pattern that you might be used to, and this will help me get used to the sewing machine, how it's working. So here goes. Right, I'm just going to continue with the Vermicelli, which is an excellent pattern because the curves will show you whether you've got the tension correct. If you haven't, then you'll get what's called a whipped stitch either at the top or the bottom, where the threads are being pulled through to the opposite side, and you'll be able to see it. Just going to stop it there. Okay, so it's coming along really well, not got much left to do. I've finished quilting the central portion of this little quilt with the Vermicelli pattern, and I've avoided quilting any of the little accent flaps in, which I'm very pleased about. Now when I was actually quilting it, I hadn't quite decided whether I was going to quilt the borders, so I took the little quilt back into my studio and evened the borders up, and then decided yes, actually I'm going to put some quilting onto the borders. So I've added an extra piece of fabric at the side. Now this removes the clips which are holding the quilt and tensioning it correctly away from the sewing machine. When I was quilting the central portion, I found that the clips were fouling the sewing machine and it was not giving me a smooth action. So I'm hoping that this additional fabric will prevent this from happening when I do the borders. I've changed the colour of the thread at the top, so I've changed the apple green at the top as well, which is quite adventurous and it's going to show up, so I hope that it's going to be a good choice. I'm just going to do a sort of doodle pattern, hopefully of leaves and flowers. So here goes. I've now set the camera up, so I'm going to be quilting around it, so it's going to be a little bit difficult. As you can see, I'm doing leaves and swirls and all sorts of things, so I'm just having a bit of a doodle. So off we go again. Oops, I think I've gone a little bit wrong there. That might need a little bit of unpicking. I'll leave that till the end and I might come back to that. It's very difficult stitching around a camera. I've just finished quilting the top border, so I have doodled lots of leaves and curls, and it's not brilliant, but I'm quite pleased with the effect. So I shall pan across, see if I can zoom in for you, and pan across so you can see the effect. I now need to unpin the sides and move the sewing machine. I've now repositioned the sewing machine so I can come down this side. I'm then going to go across the bottom and back up the other side, which I know is probably breaking a lot of long arm quilting rules, but this is the first piece that I've done, so I'm going to see how it works. I shall show you the results in a moment. I've now finished a little quilt and I've pinned it to a design board and put it onto my table in my studio. So I'm going to try and zoom in and show you some detail. So you can see the detail of the border and a bit of the vermicelli. So I'm quite pleased with that. It's very random, and I know that I've got to improve my stitching. And when I stop and start I'm jumping, so I need to improve that. But for a first attempt I'm actually quite pleased. I hope you've enjoyed seeing the progress I've made with this first quilt, and I hope you join me again.